Deathless titans placed upon the face of the earth 3 generations of men. The first of them being men of gold. Becoming too close to gods themselves, Cronus ended their time on earth with an eternal sleep. A second generation came to be, the men of silver. Unwilling to serve the titans and make sacrifices upon the holy altars, as all men shall do, they were condemned to dwell under the earth for all eternity. Finally, a third generation, the men of bronze, a brazen race, sprung from the ash tree, terrible and strong are they. Join me as I tell you the tales of the men of bronze. This is Dragon's Blood, Odyssey to Dionysodoros, Episode 8. The next morning was not quite as early as a start as was hoped. Sunisret stayed up most of the night drinking the last of the wine in Kefu's house. When he did finally wake up, he wouldn't set foot out of the mansion without breakfast. A man my size needs to eat wherever and whenever he can. And right now, I have to eat to get rid of this pounding headache. What was in that wine? It's not what was in the wine, answered Akim, but how old the wine was. Kefu hadn't had a drop of wine in nearly 5 years. I remember helping him prepare that year's grape harvest. It was the last time we did that. Excellent growing year that was. Akim stopped and thought for a moment. I think Kefu had some vials of quick healing in his chemist's storeroom. Should help with your obvious alcohol poisoning. I didn't drink that much, said Sunisret, as Akim walked out of the room. Did I really drink that much last night, Gamden? Let me put it to you this way. Kefu had a full wine closet when we got here the other day. Yeah, so what's your point? Asked Sunisret. The point is, there were 25 bottles in that closet, and now it's empty. Lucky you're such a big bastard. If I had drank that much, I would be dead on the floor, with coins in my mouth for the Karen. Sunisret shook his head and said, I couldn't help myself. The wine was so good. Not like that swill that we drank back home. Kefu grew the finest grapes in all the 3 kingdoms. I remember eating them off the vine in the summer, answered Akim, as he walked back into the room. Gamden is right. You should be dead. I've only seen a couple other men your size in my entire life, back when I went into the southern jungles beyond the Al-Sabal cliffs. Have you lived all your life in the 3 kingdoms, Sunisret? No. I have vague memories of traveling with my father as a boy from our village in the south, replied Sunisret. My mother died when I was very young from the plagues. That's why we came to the 3 kingdoms, to get away from the wars and the diseases that followed. Where you come from, Sunisret, there is a potent drink fermented from the root of a tree. That is most likely where you get your high tolerance for alcohol. Drink this vial of quick healing, and you will feel better. Sunisret took the vial from Akim and drank it all down in one mouthful. You'll be ready to travel in a few minutes, said Akim. Lay back and rest while Gamden and me go into the library and find what I need to continue his training. They walked into the library and Akim continued. Look for scrolls that contain Kefu's handwriting in the ancient script. They will contain spells for controlling the elements. There is also a large book in a faded red leather cover that has everything I need to teach you advanced offensive and defensive spells. What about my new... Gamden hesitated, then continued. My familiar. Isn't that what Kefu called the cat? Your familiar will be the right hand. You never knew you lost. Akim stopped what he was doing, looked at Gamden, and said in a matter-of-fact tone, Kepri will be your best friend. He will go into places that you can't. You will see through his eyes and hear what goes on around him. Treat him well, and he will save your life many times over. Akim walked over to a pile of scrolls on the corner table. He sorted through them and took 3. That too we will learn in these scrolls. How do you know all these things, Akim? I have known Kefu for most of my life, Gamden. Not only was he my friend, but he was my master as well. But you are such a powerful warrior, Gamden said with surprised tone. What could Kefu be able to teach you? Yes, I am a powerful warrior, and the teachings of my order give me strengths that allow me to defeat my enemies. But Kefu taught me how to defend myself without taking human life. Why do you carry a sword then? Asked Gamden. More often than not, just the sight of the weapon can stop a foe in his tracks, said Akim, as he pulled the sword from its sheath. But there are also times when the taking of life just can't be helped. They finished looking through the library and found several more items that they needed. As they walked out into the kitchen, they found Sunisret lying on his back in the middle of the floor, sleeping. His snoring was so loud that with each breath he made the crystal vases in the cabinets along the wall rattle. By Athena! Shouted Akim over the snoring. That boy is a monster, isn't he? Everything about him is big, even his snoring. He is a big bastard, shouted Gamden, but he's my most trusted friend. He has saved my skin too many times to count. Akim picked up a large clay pitcher and filled it with water from the hand pump. He walked over to where Sunisret lay on the floor and poured the water over his face. Sunisret sat up in a flash, spitting and sputtering water everywhere. Why did you wake me up? Shouted Sunisret. I was having the best dream. Just me in a room surrounded by women, all the wine I could drink, and I was just finishing with the women. Then he stopped and thought for a second. I feel so much better now. What was in that vial? I feel like I could take on the Cyclops monarch myself. I learned many healing techniques from Kefu, said Akim, but I could never match his skills. The effects of the potion will last a week. Cuts and bruises will heal rapidly, and you won't need sleep for at least 2 days. 2 days without sleep, shouted Sunisret. What am I supposed to do? Gamden laughed and said, You can think about not drinking all the wine in someone's house, you big bastard. Now, let's get going to Nebetah. Look for episode 9 of Dragon's Blood, Odyssey to Dionysodoros, on YouTube.